Hey everybody, Z Garcia here, and today I'm going to be taking a look at 3 solo-only games from Button Shy. They're going to be The Last Lighthouse here, Aqua, Rove, and Ancient Realm. Each of these, like I said, is only for one player. We're going to be taking a look at them. I'll show you an overview of how each one of these works, and then I'll come on back and I'll tell you what I think of each of them individually. Here we go. In The Last Lighthouse, we are trying to protect the lighthouse right here, and it has health points, 6 of them, that we are trying to maintain. They are going to be ticked away and erased by these nightmares assaulting the coast, and we are going to be removing those by using our own traps, which are the same cards turned upside down to show the trap side instead of the nightmare side. The way you set up these initial 4 cards is based on the difficulty you want to start with 2 nightmares and 2 traps being sort of a standard difficulty. But if I flip this over and give myself another trap, then that's harder, and this is very tough then with all of them being nightmares. So we're going to start with 2 and 2. Then I have a breakdown right here of the turn reference. I will point out as I take hits on the lighthouse, I would scoot this up. And if ever all of the points are gone, then we lose. And for me to win, I have to run out the deck. And at the end of that turn, if the deck is gone and the lighthouse has survived with at least 1 point, then I win the game. So let's take a look here at the turn reference, and we will see how we play the game. The very first thing we do is we can take 2 actions. Those actions are as follows. I can either place a trap, or I can defeat a nightmare with each one of those 2 actions. Placing a trap then entails taking a card from my hand and putting it anywhere I want to. I can move things around and put the traps in place. If they have a when placed ability, I am going to go ahead and do that. The other option then would be defeating one of these nightmares. And the way that works is with traps that have a reach strong enough to get to that nightmare and strength enough, symbolized by these sort of flames, to overwhelm that nightmare. The way that works is you'll see the symbols in the middle and then the numbers around that. That's the reach of that location. And so this card right here has a 0 this way, so nothing I can do this way. But this card, if it was there, would be able to reach this card. It's not strong enough to deal with it because this one you'll see 3 little skulls right there, and this only has 1. So let's pretend this is what this looks like, and on my turn, I'm going to, for my first action, place this trap. I would do the when placed ability. In this case, it says ranges for all traps are doubled this turn, so all my numbers on my traps are actually doubled. So I wouldn't need to, I wouldn't even need to do this sort of setting up ability. And now for my second action, I'm going to overwhelm this nightmare here and get rid of it. 1, 2 flames, 3, 4 flames. This has a reach of 1 now because it's being increased by this ability here. And this one would also overlap on this. This overlaps on this. Basically, these cards overwhelm that and remove it. Whenever you remove a nightmare, you are going to flip it and you are going to add it to your hand, and it becomes a new ability that you have in your hand. Also, many of these nightmares will have when defeated abilities or when placed. You'll be needing to deal with that. We close this up. And we are done with my 2 actions. We go to the next step, which is add a nightmare. You're going to take a card from the deck. You're going to add that nightmare to the back of the ocean here. This one says, when placed, move this nightmare 2 spaces closer to the lighthouse. Very well. I'm going to do that. Now we go to the next step where the nightmares are going to attack. They are going to try to attack the lighthouse. We begin from the front here. This one has enough of a range to attack the lighthouse, and indeed it does. So this ticks down by 1. And this one has a range of 2, which would be this card and this card, so not enough to get there, okay? If none of them were able to hit the lighthouse, then they would actually attempt to remove the traps here. But one of them did hit the lighthouse, and all of them could possibly hit the lighthouse. With that done then, we are going to do what's called surveying the sea. We take a look at the first card here, and if it's a nightmare, it goes to the back and rolls over to the back. If it is one of my own cards, it simply goes away. So this card would go to the back, and then we are ready for the next step. So that's the idea. Every round, I'm going to get a couple of actions to try to remove these nightmares with the traps in play, or play new traps. They are going to attack the lighthouse, and if that doesn't succeed, they'll attack my traps. And then we are going to also add a new nightmare at the back, and then they attack. And then whatever's in front either goes away, if it would be one of mine, or goes to the back and starts coming in again. You are doing that, like I said, until the deck here runs out of cards. And if you manage to survive with at least 1 health point on the lighthouse when you are done with the deck of cards, then you are going to win the game. The last Lighthouse here has one of the coolest themes I've seen in a Button Shy game. This spooky setting in which nightmares are sort of assaulting the coast, trying to take down the last lighthouse. Gameplay-wise, the game's pretty easy, and I mean that in both mechanically, like how difficult it is to wrap your head around, but also difficulty-wise, this is a little bit easy. I would say it's one of the easier Scott Alm's, Simply Solo games that he's come out with for this series of games. And that's not necessarily a bad thing. You just kind of go into it knowing this is probably going to be a win. You're going to have a pretty high win ratio. That seems to be the consensus online as well, by the way. That's not a bad thing, like I said. Just be aware of it. Now, I've tried some of the expansions, and I would say they sort of kick it up a little bit. They add some twists. They add a couple more things to take care of, to deal with, and they will make the game a lot tougher. I'm not really reviewing the expansions here. I just happen to have played with them, so I figured I'd mention them. Unfortunately, one of the modules that you get in the expansions does have the wrong back printed on them, and it happens to be the one that you would shuffle into the deck of cards. So you can tell that they're from the expansion, and that's too bad. You can play with opaque card sleeves, and that'll solve it. But yeah, it's just like, that's unfortunate sort of thing. As it is, I recommend it. Again, just a core box here, the core game, I guess, will do it. And I'm going to give this one a 7 out of 10. I like it. It's one I'm going to pull out if I want to play something that I'm probably good to win. I feel like winning, and I'm good with the spooky theme. So for me, The Last Lighthouse, 7 out of 10. In Aqua Rove, the objective is to complete 7 missions, and the missions are right here. They basically denote a pattern with these modules that are in the center, and they require them to take up a specific spot in this imaginary grid, but also for there to be 2 specific modules in specific locations. So for example, if we take a look at this mission, which I just finished, you'll see that this module right here is in the correct spot. This one is in the correct spot, and then the other 4 could be anywhere, but they have to be in the required locations. Having done that means I've completed that mission, and I need to get 7, by the way, in order to win the entire game. But once I've completed one, then I am going to take a new card, place it over here like this, cover the old pattern, be given a new mission, and then I'll draw 1 card from the same deck here, but I'll flip it to the other side and put that in my hand. These are the cards I'm going to be using to move these things around. And you'll notice I only draw 1 new card up. So if I'm using more than 1 of these in order to get that mission fulfilled, I'm losing resources. And I need to make it all the way to 7, like I said, in order to win. If I run out of possible moves, then I'm going to lose the game. Every one of these modules also, by the way, has a special ability that I can choose to activate, flip over the module, and trigger that thing 1 time. So now I'm trying to get this pattern right here. The way that gaining movement points works is I'm going to play any one of these I want to. I'll get that many movement points, and I'll be able to move modules using this ability in the middle. This one lets me move anywhere that is legal, but only in this orientation, whereas this one, for example, let me move diagonally also. Anything here is legal and adjacent, by the way, even corner to corner, so that's okay, but I cannot separate things. So this is still okay. If it was here, which is part of the imaginary grid, that's not okay. They've now spread apart, but that's fine, all right? And so you've got, jumping into a place. This lets you move ones. Well, this lets you move once, actually, and this lets you push. So if you do that one, you would push things. If I chose to activate this with this ability, I would just shove this over like that, okay? So I'm going to go ahead and try to get this pattern. So the way I would do that is I perhaps would activate this ability. It says, place an adjacent module in any valid position. And I would flip that over. I'm going to choose this module, and I'm going to put it into any valid position. I'm going to put it over here. And that's going to get me a couple of things I need. And then I'm going to play this card. So this card is going to give me 3 movement points, but you'll notice across the bottom that it says I get +1 movement point if these 2 modules are adjacent to one another, and they are. Now the pattern doesn't matter. They can be adjacent in any way, corner to corner even. So I'm getting 4 movement points, and you're going to track them however you want to, but you can choose to track them using the little ticks around the outside of the card. So this would be 1 tick right there. There's 2 in this corner, 3, 4, 5. So since I'm getting 4 movement points, 3 plus this one, I would just make sure that this little corner is facing up. That's just to help me remember that. And these are my movement abilities. So I'm going to spend 1 of these movement points and tick the card over like this to take this guy and move him in a straight line as far as I want to. So he's going to go whoop, there. And then I'll spend another movement point, and I'm going to move this fella whoop, right there. And that's going to be the pattern I need. The 2 modules that are specified in the correct locations, the other spots filled. If I have leftover movement points, but I've completed this, then this just goes away, and I lose those points. If I use all these up and I still am not done, then I would need to play another card for movement points. So now what would happen is I would discard that card. I indeed finished it. Take a new one because I'm still not at 7. I'm going to fill in that spot, and I draw 1 new card into my hand. You do have a hand limit of 5 cards, and you can start with fewer at the beginning of the game if you want a more difficult game. And that's it. Now I'm going to try to do that pattern. If I get all the way to 7, I win the game. Aqua Rove here is yet another game in the Rove series of games, right? We've got Rove, and there was even a Rove Junior. Rove had a bunch of expansions. Well, now we have an aquatic thematic one. This one is, it's got a couple of new little wrinkles to the puzzle, but I very much enjoyed Rove already. In fact, it's one of the, it's like a go-to for me in Bud and Shy games. It's one I very much would recommend. It's got a good crunchy puzzle in there. And this one is no slouch. This one's going to give you a very similar feel. Some of my argument against it would be that some of this has been explored before. And if you already have Rove, do you really need Aqua Rove here? And I don't know how to answer that. I lean towards no, you do not need this one. The wrinkles here, the extra action points if 2 things happen to be next to each other, and of course the different pieces of your whatever, the things you're moving around have different abilities now when you turn them off and trigger their one-time abilities. But if you don't have Rove, then this is one I could see myself recommending. It gives you a little bit more at the core box level, right? Without worrying about expansions. And it has a lovely theme to boot. This is not one I've played expansions for, by the way. But as it is out of the box, I'm giving this one a nice strong 7. Really good stuff. Fun, engaging. Give yourself a little table space so that you can manipulate everything. But this is going to make your brain do some fun light workout. This one I really, really enjoy. It always manages to make you feel really accomplished too, which I credit the game with because it ain't me. So there you go, Aqua Rove, 7 out of 10. In Ancient Realm, you are going to begin with a deck over here of District cards and a deck of Wonder cards. You are going to reveal 2 from each, put them in the center, and those are the ones available to you right now. And then you also begin with these tracking cards, which will have at the beginning 3 gold, and you'll have 1 grain, 1 stone, and 1 wood as well. And as you can see, these will be able to be rotated up and down to track various amounts. Now, on your turn, you are going to select one card, and you are going to build that card. You'll put it out here in your line, and you will build it. If it's a monument card, one of these that has the monument, you'll see that the cards are broken up into 3 sections, but the monuments take up 2 together, like these. Then you'll need to spend these resources right here if you want to build one of them. The very first card you build can just go out there like so. Any subsequent cards you build, you could cover up various parts on previous cards and activate those things. So perhaps I've got that one out there. I will, at the end of my turn, by the way, replenish this spot with a card from either stack. So let's just say, for the sake of it, that I've replenished it with this one. Now, on my second play, I could choose to, say, do this one right here. And if I'm going to cover anything, let's say I want to cover this quarry here, then I'm going to put this one momentarily above it, so that I can trigger the ability on the quarry. This only triggers as I'm about to cover it. And you'll notice on the quarry, the ability is spend 1 coin to gain 1 stone. This would go up. I've spent my coin. I've done that ability. Now I will cover that quarry like so. And then I will replenish that spot, which again could be from here. I could replenish it like so. The monuments are going to be very expensive, but they'll have a lot of victory points, and they'll have an ongoing ability possibly. So while that's out there, you can work towards those victory points or utilize those abilities. Also, the wonders of the world cannot be covered up. You can only cover up these singular spaces, though you can cover up more than one at a time. So if I was going to build this and I had the ability to do so, I could cover up both of these and then trigger those abilities. You'll notice, for example, the woodsman here says I can spend 1 coin and I can double the amount of lumber I had in my storage. And then the mine just gives me 2 coins. I could do that. Though you'll only score in this game from monuments and from mines. You want to be careful about covering those up. This one happens to give me 2 victory points for each of those types of symbols I have in play. There's also on the top of the deck over here, which is the district deck, there's an ability that is available to me while this is the top card of the deck. And the backs of these all have a different ability. In this case, this one says, when activating blocks, I can hire citizens for free. So if I happen to be covering one that is hiring a citizen, I'll be able to do that for free. But once this is out here and replenishes a card I've taken, then of course this will change. And this one says I can trade 1 good for a different good up to 2 times per turn. Maybe I'll give up this lumber and take a grain, let's say. And I can do that 1 more time. So that is what I am doing. I'm trying to satisfy all of these abilities, triggering abilities, managing my resources and my money so that I can get as many victory points as possible. And once I'm done with the game, when these decks will dry out, then I am going to check everything that scores and see how well I did. And you can check in the rule book here, based on your score, how legendary your conquest has been. If you get 70 or more points, that is indeed legendary. But, if you end up more where I end up, between 50 and 54, that is merely adequate. So that is Ancient Realm. I recently played and reviewed Wild River from Stephen Aramini for Button Shy, and I was a little bit let down by that game. I thought the puzzle it contained, the sort of tile-laying aspects of it, left something to be desired for me. Not so in Ancient Realm, which I very much consider to be a return to form for Stephen Aramini, though I think these games came out around the same time. Ancient Realm is fantastic. It is a really engaging city building kind of game. You are going to be, playing these cards and activating various things, and there are so many neat little intricate things that work together that I find it to be very much a head-down kind of puzzle, but one that's always tempting. There's always something interesting going on. The expansions here are also very good, but I am happy with or without them. I would not say that, you want to add them for more complexity and it's needed. You want to add them for more variety, which is needed. I don't think so. They're great, and if you want them, check them out. but this one just out of the wallet here is really, really neat. It's a little bit tough. I've certainly had a hard time getting high scores in this one, but I keep coming back to see if I can do better. I keep coming back to see if maybe the shuffle and a little bit of the luck is going to be a little less a little more forgiving this time. Yeah, I enjoy it. I worried originally that I would find it to be a little repetitive, the things I'm doing in it, but I have not found that to be the case. And the covering up sections to trigger abilities is a really fun, interactive, section of this game. So for me, Ancient Realm's going to get an 8 out of 10. I really like this one. One of my favorites from Bud and Shy, I would say, and one that I absolutely will be hanging on to, and I think playing this one quite a bit. So there you go. That is Ancient Realm. And that's going to do it for 3 solo games from Bud and Shy. All of them recommends, all of them seals of approval, actually. And I don't think you can go wrong with any one of these. Definitely pick the theme that speaks to you. Ancient theme, spooky theme, exploration, underwater theme. Pick the one that kind of sings to you. Check it out. I think you're going to have a good puzzly time. That's going to do it for me, everybody. My name is Z Garcia. I'll see you on the next one.
Hey everybody, thanks for watching another video from the Dice Tower. Hey, you want to learn more about us, communicate with us? We have a Facebook group, we have a Discord channel, lots of different ways to get involved with the Dice Tower. You can find that in our Linktree link below. So just click that, it will take you, and you can communicate with us on Facebook, join our Facebook groups. There's lots of cool things that you can find and become part of the Dice Tower. Thanks so much for watching. I'm Tom Vasel.